From exile to potentially winning power and becoming prime minister.
Bangladesh's historic election yesterday looks on track to reversing the fortunes of party leader Tarique Rahman. His Bangladesh Nationalist Party has claimed victory in the polls. Unofficial results put the BNP way ahead of closest rival Jamaat-e-Islami in the race for the 300-seat parliament. This is the first election since the 2024 uprising that ousted the Sheikh Hasina government from power.
The supporters cheered Mr. Rahman overnight, even as he reportedly told party members not to have any victory processions or rallies to celebrate, urging them to hold special prayers instead. Mr. Rahman returned to Bangladesh 2 months ago after nearly 2 decades of self-exiled abroad due to safety concerns.
It's a fascinating moment for us because after 17 years, we got the opportunity to vote.
I really hope he is the change that we were looking for after whatever happened in July.
The leader of rival party Jamaat-e-Islami, Sheikh Rahman, appeared to concede defeat soon after vote counting began, describing his party in opposition terms.
তবে আপনারা আশ্বস্ত থাকতে পারেন যে আমাদের দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি হবে ইতিবাচক ধারার রাজনীতি, কল্যাণ ধারার রাজনীতি, মানুষের জন্য রাজনীতি, দলের জন্য রাজনীতি নয়। আমরা বিরোধিতার জন্য বিরোধিতা, ওই রাজনীতি আমরা করব না।
The voter turnout is expected to surpass the last election. Reports citing election commission numbers put it at nearly 61%, about 20 points higher than the last election.
The party of ousted leader Sheikh Hasina Awami League has slammed the polls. It called it a well-planned farce, claiming voting rights, democratic values and the constitution were completely disregarded in an election without the Awami League.
CNA's senior correspondent Afifah Ariffin in Dhaka, where she's been closely monitoring the vote count and reactions. Afifah, good morning. So early results suggest a decisive BNP victory. How are young Bangladeshis, especially those involved in the 2024 student protest, responding to the result?
That's right. So early and unofficial results have shown that the BNP has won a landslide victory in this election. Some of the reports are saying that the BNP had secured a simple majority of 151 seats, while other reports are saying that the BNP has clinched nearly 200 seats out of the 299 seats which were contested in this election. But of course, we will have to wait for the official results to come in. This even as the BNP has claimed a victory on a social media post saying that they have won enough seats to form government. But some of the leaders in a message to some of the members of the media late last night also said that the party will not hold any press conference or speak to the media or give any official comments until the election commission has announced all of the results, which is expected to happen maybe sometime this morning or early this afternoon. It's still very early here in Dhaka. It's just past 7 a.m. But we did see celebrations taking place outside of the BNP's headquarters. Hundreds had gathered there late last night, to listen and celebrate when the unofficial results started to trickle in. Now, many of the young voters I've been speaking to over the last couple of days and even throughout polling day yesterday had, indicated that they would likely support the BNP. So the landslide victory, according to observers, saying that many youths are still backing a largely established party, and it would seem that many of them would be quite happy with the results coming in. And these are young voters who had taken part in that student-led uprising back in July 2024 that triggered nationwide protests that overthrew the then Sheikh Hasina government. So for many of the youths, they say that taking part in this election was an extension of their voices from the streets to the ballot boxes. But of course, the youth voice in this election, it's not quite monolithic. We had seen how some of the student leaders from that July 2024 protest, they had taken or formally participated in this election as candidates. The National Citizen Party, for example, was born out of that student movement of 2024. They joined the coalition of Jamaat-e-Islami. Their key leader, Nahid Islam, we understand, has performed well. He has won his seat. But some of the other leaders, student leaders from the protests who had run as independent candidates, they didn't fare quite well in this election. And so observers are saying that it does seem that the youth movement to, have such a massive change, a massive impact in this election may be more gradual than they had hoped for.
Tell us a bit about the security situation in Bangladesh this morning, Afifah. As the results trickle in, there were concerns about violence. And we also understand that Tarique Rahman has asked his supporters not to hold rallies.
That's right. So the security situation in Dhaka and across the country seemed relatively calm and stable like it was yesterday. I mean, even here where I am outside the Election Commission, things are pretty much what it was. It's still barricaded, policemen still deployed all around the city. So far, there is visible measures, but there hadn't been any reports of major violences, just reports of skirmishes, minor skirmishes all across the country. Some candidates also reporting that they were not happy with the results. There had been some interruptions during counting processes, or they had disputed the results by the Election Commission. And yes, Tarique Rahman has said that it has told its supporters not to go onto the streets to celebrate, but instead to hold a special Friday prayer session this afternoon. So far, the election observers, there are thousands of international observers here across the country to monitor the election proceedings. They have said that they were very satisfied with how things had proceeded throughout the campaign and the voting process as well, indicating that this is a very credible, fair and peaceful election.
And Afifah, alongside the general election, voters also backed the July National Charter referendum. How are people interpreting this double mandate?
That's right. So when voters went to the polls yesterday, they had to make two decisions, one to elect the members of parliament and the other to take part in a nationwide referendum, a yes or no vote on a list of key proposed changes to the constitution. And early results indicate that around 72.9% of voters have voted yes. They supported the July National Charter, which is a very significant margin. So for many people, this is being interpreted as a dual message from the electorate. One, they have decided who they want to lead Bangladesh in the next term, at least for 5 years. And second, they have endorsed that they do want significant changes to how the country is being governed. So in this referendum, one of the key proposals was to limit the term of the Prime Minister, for example, to a maximum of 2 terms in 10 years. So this 72.9% early result, we've still yet to wait for the Election Commission to confirm. This does seem that the electorate does want genuine change and a total overhaul of the political structure here in Bangladesh.
CNN senior correspondent Afifah Ariffin in Dhaka. Thank you so much for the update, Afifah. Well, one expert we spoke to earlier on Asia First explained what the projections mean for Bangladesh's political landscape after years of turbulence. Michael Kugelman is senior fellow for South Asia at the Atlantic Council.
The BNP alliance was competing against the Jamaat-e-Islami-led alliance, and Jamaat is a right-wing Islamist party that has taken very strong positions, including, as you note, favoring the implementation of Sharia law, though its leadership has stepped back from that recently. And yes, I think that this does suggest perhaps that a significant majority of the population would prefer that you not have a government that is led by such principles. So it remains to be seen, though. I mean, Jamaat has been able to become quite prominent politically since the fall of Sheikh Hasina, and there was even some talk that it could be a wild card possibility to win the election. I suspect that if the results hold, that Jamaat will become a very robust opposition party, and that could have some effect as well. Even if the government itself is not one that reflects the views of Jamaat, Jamaat may be in a position to try to to be influential in the parliament in ways that could cause some challenges for the government.
Okay, so Jamaat as the opposition, where does it leave the NCP? We know that it consists of students who led the uprising against Sheikh Hasina.
Yeah, so I mean, the NCP had joined the Jamaat-led alliance, which some members of the NCP didn't actually like, because the NCP is all about doing things in a new way and not really being involved with any of the established parties. And Jamaat is a very established party. It's also notable, I think, that NCP and Jamaat were together in this alliance, and Jamaat has projected itself as a party of change for rejecting the corrupt patronage-driven system that Bangladesh has had for many years, and NCP is very much in favor of that as well. The fact that that alliance appears to be set for a significant defeat suggests that some of the ideas that really galvanized the mass movement in 2024, I don't want to say they've been discredited, but clearly were not reflected at the polling stations. And yet, as you noted before, there was a referendum in this election that really asked people to vote for certain changes, like corruption, anti-corruption reforms, and so on, that were very much a part of the mass movement. So it's a bit contradictory, right? In the sense that it appears that the referendum is going to pass by a large margin, supporting the change ideas that galvanize the mass movement, and yet those parties that are most associated with the mass movement and with these change ideas are set for a significant election loss.
So back from a 17-year self-imposed exile, Tarique Rahman could be on track to become Bangladesh's new prime minister if the BNP emerges as the largest winner. So who is he? And is he the change the country has been looking for? Well, Mr. Rahman returned to the country less than 2 months ago, pledging to put Bangladesh on a new path. The 60-year-old has promised that if elected, there'll be a new era of clean politics with no tolerance for graft. Bangladesh has long ranked among the world's most corrupt countries, a corruption that is said to have flourished the last time the BNP was in power, during the premiership of Mr. Rahman's mother, Khaleda Zia. Mr. Rahman took over the leadership of the BNP upon his return to Bangladesh in December. He has acknowledged that mistakes have been made by the party in the past. Though he didn't serve in an official capacity in the last BNP regime, Mr. Rahman was jailed in 2007 by a military-backed caretaker government on corruption charges. He was also the subject of various criminal investigations by Sheikh Hasina's government. That's why he fled to London in 2008. He was cleared of all those charges when the Hasina regime fell in 2024, allowing him to return home. A BNP victory would cap a remarkable return to power. Tarique Rahman's parents have both served as leaders. That his father was once president, his mother a former prime minister. That to his critics, he's just the next generation of dynastic politicians, the king, to cement their grip on power. Still, his election rallies in the lead up to yesterday's poll drew large crowds. And clearly his hope is that the masses translate into a decisive victory, allowing him to usher in a new era of stability that he has promised to restore.